Hi everyone, Lauren here with Enlighten Together. Thank you so much for tuning in to this video. I want to share a presentation that I recently gave in my community with you. I was invited to speak in an event that was held at a community college where I live, and this event was called Religious Understanding Day. So I was originally surprised that a college was holding a religious event, a religiously affiliated event like this, but I was invited because I have become somewhat known in my community for my secular views. So I was invited to speak at the event as the person to represent the atheist community. And I was pretty excited. This was my first time ever being invited to speak in front of people about this subject. So I said, okay, sure, I would love to. I would love to share my stance with everybody. So this event was actually really cool. This was the first time I went to an event like this, which was a gathering of people from all kinds of faiths to speak to the community. So there was someone representing the Seventh-day Adventist community, Scientology, the Jewish community, as well as pagan. Someone who was pagan actually spoke. And this was the first time I went to an event where there were so many people coming together to share their beliefs. And I thought it was really a great way to educate the community about different faiths, as well as the secular view, which I was representing, but to also bring a sense of unity together and acceptance, I guess I would call it that. I hope those of you who are watching enjoy my presentation and that you take something home with you. I also encourage you to investigate what is going on in your community. Investigate the groups that are in your community and what they are doing to try to improve or make changes in your community. And when you start to do this and you start to get involved, you will become known in your community. Makes sense? This is something that's really important to me. I've been living where I am right now for less than a year, and so I decided I want to start getting involved and see what's happening. And there are some things that I've noticed as that need to make improvements. And that is why I have become somewhat known in my community for my secular views. So I encourage you, again, to get involved with your community. Humanist perspective. So before I start, to get us all on the same page, I'll go over some descriptions. An atheist is a person who denies or disbelieves the existence of a supreme being or beings. So an atheist is someone who believes in no God or gods. There's also agnostic, which is a person who holds that the existence of the ultimate cause as God and the essential nature of things are unknown and unknowable, or that human knowledge is limited to experience. So an agnostic basically has no stance in terms of the existence of a God or no God, and they believe that, again, our experience is what puts forth our knowledge. A humanist is a person having a strong interest in or concern for the human welfare, values, and dignity. So I'm actually according to my studies, I would be in the secular humanist category. So I did want to speak more about atheism, and I've been atheist now for about 6 years. Atheists are just like people of different faiths. You'll meet people who are extreme on issues, who really want to put forth their opinions and very much vocal. And then there are the other spectrum, which people are quieter, not so vocal in their faiths. And so the same thing with atheists. Sometimes I've met atheists that are just very, very vocal, very much want to speak about their beliefs and their research, and then there's the other spectrum of atheists who are not so vocal. So my point here today is to not debate about the existence of God. In fact, I actually rarely do that. Personally, I'm more interested in developing the unity of community, and to really put out there that, and to acknowledge the existence of different faiths in a community. There are 2 points that I want to discuss in my presentation today. Number one, investigating other faiths as well as your own. And then my second point is understanding various faiths exist in your community. So I will speak about investigating other faiths. And I really believe that it is crucial to learn about other faiths and beliefs with an open mind. It's very important. That's why I like this type of gathering, because it makes it so easy to learn and put forth certain belief systems instead of it being so such a task to go to every single church or go out, and it takes more time. So this is really interesting, as well as to network. So I do want to speak about my personal experience as being an atheist, just to give an idea. I know I don't have to explain much about being an atheist. I don't believe in a higher spirit. But I will say that, again, it is important to investigate other faiths with an open mind. And I will say that when I stepped back from my original roots, which when I was growing up, I was religious. I don't want to get very specific about it or pinpoint any faith. But I was religious, and I found that it was very difficult for me to learn about other faiths. This is my personal experience. Maybe some of you can relate. But when I was religious, and I grew up with my family in a particular religion, and I believed in a certain way, it was very difficult for me to be open-minded to other faiths, to learn about other faiths. And I believed that other faiths were wrong. I believed that they were so wrong that I had no reason to learn about them. And it was really out of my boundary to learn about other faiths. Why should I? So eventually I came to terms with my beliefs, and I was able to step back and really look at faith in a completely different way when I laid down my roots and how I was raised. And it's been such an interesting experience for me to lay down my foundation and to look at other faiths with an open mind and to learn about it. Now, I have to be honest, at the beginning I was kind of, I guess the term angry atheist was there, and I said, I was kind of said, why should I learn about any faiths at all when I don't believe in a higher spirit? But now I've come to terms and I said, I really enjoy learning about other faiths. I enjoy learning about what other people believe, and this is really important in our communities, is to be open-minded to other faiths and to try to not be judgmental, as hard as that can be. My second point is to understand that various faiths exist in the community. And I'm bringing this up. I know it sounds fairly straightforward, understanding that various faiths exist in the community, but I've noticed that recently, and as I've been in different communities, as I've gone to gatherings of clubs, I'm not going to be specific, there has been openings of the club that started off with a prayer. And so I noticed that the clubs I was at, the groups I was at, were not religiously affiliated. They were not a part of a religion. And these groups were really open to everybody in the community. So I was surprised to see that a prayer was being said at the beginning, even though the group was not religiously affiliated. And some of the members there were there for the first time, and I kind of looked around and I said, there's people here of different faiths. Who knows what that person's faith is? And I have my own faith, I don't pray to a higher being. So this really brought it to my concern how it's very important to acknowledge that there are different faiths in the community. And I know that it said, well, what should happen? Should we put down prayer? Which is something positive for the group. And this is something I've been debating about. Ultimately, I've said it's good to say something positive, but say something positive that includes everybody. And if one God is being put forth, then, in my opinion, I see that as wrong. I see it as dividing. And this is kind of ironic to me because, again, these groups are not religiously affiliated. They do not have a specific faith. Yet isn't the point to be unified, to have unity in this group? So to me it makes sense to say something positive, but say something that includes everyone's faith. If it's a god, a goddess, multiple gods, you say something that includes everybody. It's very important. And I just want to share something about the city of Santa Monica. I wrote an article from them that kind of makes me laugh, but in Santa Monica, over by LA, there was a part of the community there where every year a nativity display was put up. So baby Jesus, Mother Mary, Joseph, we see it for Christmas. It was put up in the city of Santa Monica. And eventually, different groups in the community there started saying, you know, why do these religious groups have this particular display here in front of everybody? Why can't we put a display? You know, if we have our belief or whatever it is, why can't we put a display out? So the city of Santa Monica said, okay, well, we'll do a drawing. We'll do a drawing, and whoever wants to put up a display, you put in, you know, your ticket, and if we draw your ticket, then you get to put up a display. Sounds pretty fair. Well, what ended up happening is the atheist group won the drawing. And so, of course, the religious community was all up in arms about it. Like, how can this happen? We can't let this happen. So ultimately, the city of Santa Monica said, we will not have any display. And so, again, this relates a lot to what I'm talking about. This is happening in a city, a pretty big city, Santa Monica. But this is the same in anywhere you go. If you're in a community, if you go to a club, whatever it is, you know, acknowledge that there are different faiths there. And if a prayer is being said to a specific God or whoever it is, acknowledge that you are possibly putting forth division in this group if it's not religiously affiliated. Now, I can understand if it's religiously affiliated. Yeah, well, go ahead by all means. But again, there are different faiths available in the community. So again, in this terms in Santa Monica, I said, you know, should they really have said no display at all? Couldn't they have done a display that was just nice for everybody? You know, everybody could have enjoyed it. So that's really a big part of what I've come to acknowledge and as my perspectives have developed. And also something that has amazed me that is also relating to this topic, and maybe some of you have heard about it, but our Pledge of Allegiance, how the term under God is put in the Pledge of Allegiance. This is something, too, that, again, relates to the same thing I'm talking about, which is not acknowledging that different faiths exist. The term under God in our Pledge of Allegiance. And it surprises me because under God is actually